Well, hey there everyone, this is Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike and I do bees. You know, the weather's beautiful right now. It's dropped in the 40s, although the wind is blowing, so it's pretty cool out. A little nip in the air, but it's gonna work out good for what I gotta do this evening. It's February 13th. Welcome to Southeast Louisiana. So folks, I'm gonna walk out here. I'm looking at my camellias, nice red ones. And then my favorite is this pink one. It just absolutely is covered every year. I mean, some years when it does it all at one time, it's absolutely gorgeous. But it makes this whole area just a beautiful pink blanket of petals. And you can see, look at all the blooms on this thing, all the buds. This year looks like it's not gonna really go at the same time, but that's okay. It's still a beautiful, beautiful shrub, plant, tree, camellia. So anyway, getting into the bees here. Not gonna really be getting into some bees yet this weekend, as I said in the last video, but I do have to set a swarm trap. So we're gonna go along. It's perfect weather for that. It's nice and cool so that by the time we get to sunset, when there's still some light out, most all the bees should be back. Bees be back, you ask? What are you talking about? You're setting swarm traps. Well, we're gonna set it in a spot where I've got a swarm trap already that I never took off the tree after it caught a swarm. It's that little itty bitty swarm that never grew. Honestly, folks, I left it out there over the winter. I was gonna get it in the fall and I just didn't. It really was out of sight, out of mind. I wouldn't think about it. And then when I would, I'd be like, oh, I'm busy, I can't do that today. So, the nice thing with this weather is they should be back in this evening because I want them all in this case. Usually if you leave a few bees behind, it's not a big deal. But what I'm doing in this case, being it's the 13th, and by the 20th, I like to have swarm boxes out, I'm gonna put another swarm box up there, a baited swarm box. And I'm gonna show you how I do, because remember, I don't do how-to videos, I do how I do videos. This is not a how-to set swarm trap video. This is a how I set a swarm trap video, how I do. So we're gonna set up a swarm trap, and I'm gonna show you that while we still got light. I'm going to show you how I set one up, and I want to take the existing bees down this evening, and they all need to be back because I'm going to put a baited box up, and I don't want any stray bees in there. Maybe one or two might be in there, whatever doesn't come back tonight, because you know bees don't always come back. They don't all come back every day. Sometimes some get stuck out there. Well, whoever comes back, it shouldn't be enough to affect anything. And then hopefully tomorrow or this weekend, we'll go through it and see what it looks like. So we'll open some bees actually in this video, maybe. Yeah, because we want to see what it looks like. Depends on the weather. Got a lot of rain coming in. You see this each year, but I'm going to video it again, and we're going to hang this one up and begin to hang a few boxes up this year. I usually don't hang a lot. I may hang a few extra than normal this year. I have my reasons. And we're going to at least get this one set by mid-month and get that little swarm back here. I don't think it really amounts to much. It is alive because the landowners called me and said, hey, I think you got a swarm in your box. And I told him, I said, oh, landowner, I don't have a swarm in my box. A bad beekeeper leaves one over winter. That's what I did. So he did say he saw bees, so they should have made it through the winter. Well, folks, here we are, and I'm ready to bait this thing. I'm gonna show you how I do, okay? I have been pretty successful at catching swarms. Last time in this particular location, I want to say it was last two times we've had very tiny swarms for whatever reason. Not sure if it's just there's not any beekeepers anywhere near there that I know of anyway. Not that I've seen, and where it's at, it's a lot of woods in rural area. And I don't know of any, so this feral swarm, maybe it's depleting, maybe it's losing some of the purity in its genetics. I don't know, but this particular place doesn't catch big ones. That's why that one's kind of still out there. But all in all, I'm gonna be honest, I think I've got a pretty good rate at catching them. But haven't been skunked too many times. In the end, I've been pretty successful with catching swarms, so I like my way, and I'm gonna stick with my way that I do. So I've changed it up a few different times. I have used Swarm Commander. I've tried Swarm Rustler. Didn't see a big difference in them. The nice thing about the Swarm Commander or Swarm Rustler is they are in a spray bottle, so psh, psh, and you're refreshed pretty quickly. But it's just as easy. I like to actually bring the box down and look in it when I refresh the bait anyway, make sure I don't have ants in it or any kind of varmint got in there, a bird or something. So for today's trap, we're going to use this one. These were gifted to me. I usually have these right here that I will use, and then we'll probably see me use some of these. These hang in a tree. I made these years back, and I can just swap. Basically, it's a stand. It hangs in the tree like this, got a hole in it. I hang it in the tree, and then I can slip a regular bottom board and 10 frame box on here. The nice thing about this is if I catch an early swarm, I pull it off, stick a new box on. Then I take these down. So that was the thought behind that when I was trapping a lot. I always like to put out a couple because it's just fun catching bees. And the other way is the trap I have out there. I used to have 2 of the old trusty traps. This is old trusty, one of my oldest. It's just built out of pallet boards. It's an 8 frame box and it's 12 inches deep. And that's supposed to equal about 40 liters. These tall, skinny 5 frame boxes are supposed to equal about 40 liters. So I use anything I can for a swarm trap, but we're gonna use this today. It's got the dial on the front. We can change the settings. So we'll put this one to open, and I'll open it so a bird can't get in there. I'll do it about like halfway. And that's how I'll open that. As far as baiting it goes, I'll show you what I do. I'll take one of these shop towels and quarter it, all right? And I'll take lemongrass oil, 100% lemongrass oil. Now, this isn't the one brand I usually buy. This is a new one, and it's actually the essential oil for aromatics. It's actually, there's 3 varieties of lemongrass, and this, the one I normally use is a different variety, but they're all lemongrass. Smells like pine saw. So I do 10 drops. And I go, I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whoops, got 11 or 12 popped out of there. And that's it, and that lasts me a while. Then I take this very rag that I have here. We'll come over to the box and we'll take this and dab it on the entrance. Let's get a little bit on there. Then it goes in the Ziploc bag. I put it in a Ziploc bag. A little sandwich bag is all I need. I shove it in here, just like this. Here's one of my old ones. I shove it in here like this. I'm gonna zip it halfway. I make sure this stays kind of open like this. I drop it in the bottom. I put it off in the corner. I don't put it right in the center. There you go. The bait is in there. The trap is set. What else do we need? Frames. There's a lot of talk about what we're supposed to use as frames and all. What I have always been told by, well, I say always, there's been a couple folks been in it a lot longer than me, talk about these bees want open, big open spaces that are dark. So slamming a bunch of foundation there is not going to do the trick. They treat that as just like it's not space. So I would use frames without starter strips, and that became a mess. So I use starter strips. I started with these years back. I got away from them, but then I was leaving my traps in the woods too long and they were building out way too bad. So now I just use wax starter strips. I have some old wax foundation that had wire wax foundation that I had left over from years. No, actually these are from Uncle Mutt. But I had some years back. I used to use this stuff. And what I do is I get a frame. I put it in here, and if you can look, I don't know if the color will show up. There's a little drop of beeswax. I take my hot plate and I heat up some wax, and with a little plastic spoon, I just drop a little bit down in the groove. Oh, let's get this up here, we can see it again. Right in here on each side. 1, 2, and then 3, and then the same on the other side. Let it set and dry, and I have a starter strip. This is essential. If there was one thing I'd say do, I would do that if you're not going to use just all wax foundation or something. So what I'm going to put in there is 3 of those. We'll put those up near the front because I want a lot of wide open space. I was going to go ahead and put 4 because I don't really use these. Last year was the first time I ever used these type of boxes. So I feel like I need to put more of that in there. But instead what I'm going to do is put a good heavily waxed foundation. I'm not liking that though. I think I'm going to try something different for a change. I'm going to put another starter strip in there. Alrighty, back with a starter strip. Yeah, I don't know. I'll just leave that here for now. So in an 8 frame, my 8 frame 12 inch deep box, I'll put starter strips plus 1 or 2 brood combs and 1 foundation. The foundation kind of up against one of the starters to kind of guide them. Give them a guide. But in this case, we're going to bank on the starter strip guiding them, and we're going to hope for the best. And then we're going to put this brood comb in. Brood comb is one of the best things to catch them. And that's it. It's ready to sit in the tree. That's how I do. Put a lid on it, fasten it down. Another way I've seen it done before is folks will take a Q-tip, put a drop or two of lemongrass on each end of the Q-tip and shove it in a straw, lay that in the bottom. That in the bag for the paper towel and the straw, all that is to do is to kind of hold the moisture of the lemongrass for a couple weeks, best I can tell. And so that's what folks do. I don't use the Q-tip straw method. I have. What's nice about the Q-tip straw method is when you go back to rebait it, if you really don't want to open it, you just have one prepped, throw it in the hole. Me, I have to open it up, put the paper towel, and put, I won't put 10 more drops on the second time around. I'll probably put about 4 or 5. And that's how I refresh it. And I'll dab the front again. And that's how I refresh my traps. I like to actually go in them and look in them, because I have had it where there's been carpenter ants in there. Those carpenter ants will completely take over one, and then you won't get bees. I've had that happen, had to move it. So I do like to open it instead of just refresh it on the tree. So I always open it. Just my take on things, just how I do it. And again, I've been pretty successful, so I'm just gonna keep doing what I do, right? Stan Gore always says, you do you and I do me. And I'm not gonna get mad about how you do you. So I ask that folks don't get mad when I do me. Brood comb is key though. And so for the newer beekeepers don't have it, I started out with just starter strips and one foundation. In the trap that we're gonna go get, my oldest one, or maybe the oldest one fell apart. That's the second oldest one. Nonetheless, it's worked. So we're gonna go closer to evening. I gotta go work on that silly air condition. I'll be back when we head out there. Well, we're on the way, folks, and the sun's about to set, which is great. Like I said, it's probably, let's see, what is it? It's 54, so a couple more degrees. Bees will all pretty much be back because it's nighttime. You know, the sun will be set, it'll be getting dark. It's already cool, getting into the low 50s. Hopefully it'll be in the upper 40s. It's a 30-minute ride once that sun goes down, and that'll make sure they're all in there. It's not a huge deal, but I don't want a bunch of bees flying back, and taking it down too early. And the only other way to do this is after dark. So when it's warm out, I got to do all this after dark. Well after dark. We'll try to get through this thing this weekend and see what we find in it. It was tiny. We'll see what it is. It's still alive, though, from what I can understand. So here we go. All right, folks. It's getting close to dark. Sunset. We're down to 50 degrees or so. That's a good thing. Any of you that have been with me for any amount of time will recognize this particular location, I guess. So we're gonna go up to this box and I'm gonna shine the light on it. And you might recognize that box right there. That's old Trusty. Yep, that's old Trusty. But the bees aren't even using this entrance that much. They're actually using up here on the side. And this has been out here all winter long. I'm gonna put my ear up to it without getting stung. So let me take this down. I put my ear to it, I hear bees. Alrighty, one box comes down and one box goes up. Got a little bit of weight to it. And this box is already baited and ready to go. And starter strips in it. All right, so I always say, no need to go super high. I go as high on these things, and you can't see me, it's dark, but I go as high on these things as it takes for me to put a nail up and hammer it. That's as high as I go. Ladders, getting way up tall, no need. No need. No need to go that high. It's dangerous. All you can do is take a chance of getting hurt. Paralysis, death even, who knows. For bees, no sir, no ma'am. I'm just gonna put it as high as I can reach. That's as high as it needs to go. I've caught them on the ground in my barn before. I say this every year, I let everybody know this. I just believe that's a safety tip, and that's not a how I do, that's a how-to on that one, believe it or not. I just did a how-to. Well, folks, I got it out of the tree, swapped it with the other one. The other one's fine, hanging up. I like to get them. I'm starting to wonder, maybe is this, I'm catching, the last 2 years I've caught very tiny swarms, and they've never been huge out here, but usually they're good medium type of swarms, not gigantic. And what I'm starting to wonder is, last few years, especially since I started putting here, I was kind of putting them out a little later in February. Am I missing some early feral swarms? Because, you know, feral swarms a lot of times, if we've got a lot of warm weather and a lot of growth, they'll swarm before managed colonies because, you know, they're not being broken down by numbers or splits or anything. Maybe out here I'm missing the big swarms. I don't know. So it's out here early. I usually like to get my traps out before the 25th. The 20th to 25th is the week I usually do it, somewhere in there of February. But we're going to go out a little bit earlier. I don't know if it'll make a difference. Maybe the scouts are out and about. Who knows? All we can do is put it out and see. So I'm going to go ahead and back out. It's dark. Got the lights on here. And what we're going to do is come back in a couple of days and open that thing up. We'll grow it up this spring and see what we can get out of it. They're usually good bees out of here. That's the thing. They're just usually not huge colonies. But the last 2 years, they've been absolutely tiny. So this one never really grew even into the honey flow. It just never grew. Hey there, folks. It is a couple days later. I actually wanted to do this yesterday on the 14th, Valentine's Day. But I got home from work right before dark and was no chance to do this. So we do have good weather. It's actually better weather today as far as warmth. It's not better as far as overcast. Actually, it's very overcast, hot, humid, sticky. And that goes into what we have around here. So, you know, this is going to be the most you'll see me getting some bees. I am going to shoot another video this afternoon of checking fondant and things like that. But to be honest with you, I know in one video I said I just don't get in them this early, and this is why, because yesterday we went into the 30s and the 40s for a couple days, yesterday, day before, like 3 days in a row. We got cold. We're back warm again. We got rain coming this afternoon. We're going to drop into 20s this week coming up. We have a week straight of freezing weather and highs in the 50s. So that's why I really just stay out of the hives right now. I don't have the great opportunity to requeen at this point. I would have to combine if I damaged a queen. I wouldn't know if I damaged a queen because I'd only go in for a spot check this early, and you know, then I'd roll in March and have a laying worker possibly, or a dead out or something, you know. So that's kind of my reason. But in this case, we will actually go in and inspect this one. In another video I want to do, I do want to check on that one that I think's a laying worker, because I don't think I have anything to lose on that. I am going to suit up because the weather is overcast and they're new to their location and I haven't been in them since fall. So yeah, I am going to put the Guardian jacket on right now, my new one with my clear visor. I'm going to go in and take a look, and let's get this thing transferred. I'm going to bring a nuke out there because I'm not going to put them in a 10 frame if they're in the same condition they were in the fall, which they should probably be. This colony just didn't grow. All right, folks, we're going to swarm in the winter. They've been in this box for a while, but I want to go ahead and get them settled in. Probably a nuke. And we'll figure everything out from there. So I don't know how they're going to be. They should be fine. They were good before. But again, they just wouldn't develop in the summer at all. So I know a lot of folks are going to look and say, hey, you can go get a frame of brood for them. Okay, this time of year, I'm not going to do that. But also, even if I did have hives open and knew where brood was, y'all have heard me say this before. I don't try to prop up bad genetics. So I want to see what they're going to do before I start giving them brood. Now that's a small colony. I'm not going to prop them up. But that's not saying in a certain, you know, situation. I'm talking about when I'm seeing bad genetics, when I'm seeing something that's not adding up, then I'm not going to prop them up. But there's other circumstances that we end up with a nuke for whatever reason. In those cases, absolutely, I'll prop them up. But something that's just showing me bad genetics, no. To me, there's no reason to promote that. Look, I got spiders living in the front of it. See, they've never even done anything with that starter strip. Yeah, they're definitely going in a nuke. There's good thick frames of bees. But there's only 3 of them. Good enough they got through all that, you know, very, very cold temperature we had in the tree in this box. But we're going to see if they grow. Something else we're going to do is give them some fondant, because they're not super heavy. For this size, they're probably heavy enough. They've completely taken that starter strip all the way out. So they've recycled the wax. Let's look at some frames they built. They built this. So they did build a little bit towards the end of summer. I'm going to use that for a swarm box. See, this is loaded with nectar. So there's obviously, it's probably red maple, some of the mustard out and about. So they're definitely getting some nectar. So they'll keep this frame. So that's all I'm going to do at this point. I'm going to go ahead and move this box. We don't want any robbing to start. They don't have a lot of flight in the yard. Actually, they're pretty heavy. I still want to give them some of that fondant because the fondant I got is from Matt. I got a little bit left over, and it's got Apis biologics in it. Everybody talks on and on about that Apis biologics. So I'm going to give it a whirl. I was going to give them one of these, but I'm going to be honest, I'm going to give them back what they have. Got to be very careful. So there's some pollen they've been bringing in. Good to go. We're going to give them their frames back. Look at that brood. See, she's got a good pattern. So what'll happen, we'll have some cold weather coming. It's going to knock them back some, but it's not going to be a detriment to them. It's only for about 2 to 3 days. I think 3 days below 50 and into freezing temps. So we want to keep the nest together since we have cold weather coming. That's my goal. That's what I know to do. That's how I do. Remember, guys, I'm not doing a how-to video, because if I was, I'd have showed you the right way and had this thing out of the tree on time and would have fed them up. Another good frame of brood. Look at that. So they're going to grow. I'm putting them in the nuke. We're going to move them into 10 in about 2 weeks probably, but I'm not going to put them in 10 right now. And this is the other side. She's flat putting them in. These have been good queens out of here, but I just don't understand what happened to these. So here's the wonky comb, folks. I've just pulled it out. It definitely needs to be weeded out of here, but it's not going to be today. This was a frame that obviously didn't get enough wax. There's the queen right there in our shot. Just pulled her out, just noticed her, just saw her. She's on this frame. Definitely not going to take this frame away from them. She's kind of short, isn't she? Definitely going to leave this in for now. Remember I talked about the Q-tip trick? Here, I did use one. That's the Q-tip trick in a straw. Shove it in there. And that way, if I'm fresh in the trap, I usually don't do this. I must have been trying it. When I freshen the trap, you just shove this thing in there. You don't even have to open it. I like to open them. Alrighty, I got some of Matt's homemade fondant from Missouri. And this is good stuff. And I got it on parchment paper. Another way to do it is put it in a Ziploc. We're going to smoke them down so we don't squish any. So far, I like this Hilco smoker. I got to train the bellows to fold down, but that's any smoker. So far, so good. The back is sealing up. Kind of leaks when you first start, but the back, after a little bit of soot, that'll seal right up, and it already has. It's got a little bit coming out. So that fits just nicely right there. It's going to give them a little something to go up to. I got these new sheets I made, laminated. I tested them. You can see where the brick was. I tested them in the rain, and they sat underneath bricks in the snow and everything, and they didn't get compromised with moisture. Use a quick grease pencil. And I put this queen as a 2023 because she was a swarm last year, so most likely she was at least a year old. We don't know. We're just going to put that down. We're going to put the population. It's low. Solid, good uniform brood. I like that. Eggs, I didn't see any. But larvae I did. Cat brood definitely. The odor was normal. Hive weight, they're light. Today's date is the 15th. So I'm just going to, I know it's this year, so I'm just going to put 2/15. I'm going to put down added fondant. All right. No queen cells to speak of. Everything else looks good. And that'll just give me, I'm tired of writing on the tops and having everything either fade in the sun, have to repaint them in the winter. I wanted some kind of tags I could attach to these. I was going to Velcro them, but I think I'll just see how they do under the brick. This should last. We use this in the Navy. We would ride on the side of jets with what our gun loads were and send an F-14 screaming out through the salty air. Come back with everything written on the side, no problem. Rain, shine, didn't matter. So it should last. If it don't, I'll figure something else out. Visor worked good. I need to clean it. Getting a little sweat on it. That's good. I want to try it. I want to get it good. I like the suit. I like the collar's gone. Not that this is a promo or advertisement or anything for them. I'm just telling you, since I got it, what it's like. I got another video to make, folks. Let me go check the feed in all these colonies. So, hey, got to stand by and wait for that one. And what I'm going to do, I am going to go in another colony too. So I guess I am getting into bees. All right, guys. But look, it's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike. I have done bees. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Appreciate all y'all watching. May God bless you. We'll see y'all later.